welcome to the simplicity of happiness when more is too much. This podcast offers tips and techniques for a better life.
And before we start with another episode of the Simplicity of Happiness podcast, I would like to remind you that you can find out all about me and my thoughts on simplicityofhappiness.com, as well as Patreon, where I am providing extra content for all of you who support me and the education of children in Africa. And now relax and enjoy the show. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Simplicity of Happiness podcast. And today I decided that I finally show you some footage that is already about 14 months old. Back then I recorded a coaching with the permission of that person, and I planned to share it with you, but then Corona hit. I didn't have any other personal interviews, and I missed out on starting the video edition. And since I recorded it on video as well, I thought, well, it might be helpful if I start the video podcast as well, as I did now. Well, in case you don't know, you can find the Simplicity of Happiness podcast now on YouTube as well. Same name, or on my website, same name, simplicityofhappiness.com. This is where you can find this episode as well. Well, that person is one of the most successful people around me, and you can tell that, well, success is somehow a lonely place to be, because very often you are the smartest person in the room, and very often you are the one making the decisions, motivating the others, well, deciding which goal is next, which direction to take. And every time I ask him a question, that was often meant quite deeper than the answer that I received. It's because it was a prepared sales message. When I wanted to go into a direction where I thought that he might be unsure, it was a standardized answer that was coming. Oh yeah, this is like da. And listen to that closely and ask yourself, where do you see yourself in situations like this? Where do you feel like you have to perform? Where you have to outperform others, and where you have to market yourself? And then there's one or two questions very close to the end where he struggles for a moment. Unfortunately, I didn't record the gallery view, so because I talked first, you can only see me, but I could see his face. For a moment, it went blank. He almost stuttered, and then he says, well, that's good food for thought. And I think this was the only moment that stuck with him. And although the rest of the coaching, the rest of this interview is just leading towards that point, I thought it's interesting to share with you, because that is what coaching is about. That is what leadership is about, and that is what so often our life is about. It's about that one moment. I mean, you imagine the world around you in a certain way, because you focus on certain things. And then you make up that picture of you and the world around you. And then we talk. And then something shifts. And all of a sudden everything looks different. That moment is what people pay me for. And that's what I wanted to share with you, to see it doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter how much of a millionaire you are. Everybody can have these moments. And these are the moments that you grow. Well, now, sit back and enjoy the show and my conversation with, once again, John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneurs on Fire.
Good to see you.
Yes, so welcome to the Swiss tiny house here.
A lot of wood.
Yes. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Okay, perfect. Well, as we have only 15 minutes, thanks to your schedule.
That's my schedule.
Are you ready to play?
I'm ready to play.
Yes. Well, what would turn this conversation into an amazing conversation for you?
Talking about things that you're passionate about.
Well, I'm passionate about what your biggest struggle, your biggest challenge is that you personally face at the moment.
At this moment right now?
Yes, at this time in your life.
It would be what to say yes to. Back in 2012, I had very few opportunities when I launched my business. So you know what? I just said yes to everything because everything was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Now in 2020, that I've been running a successful multi-million-dollar a year business for 6 years, turned Entrepreneurs on Fire into a business empire. What do I say yes to? Because honestly, I have way more opportunities than I could possibly take advantage of. Some of them are bad. A lot of them are great, but I can't say yes to all the great ones. So what opportunities do I say yes to that's worth my time, worth my energy, worth my effort for me, for my business, for my audience? It's a struggle. And I'm really struggling trying to identify which opportunities are worth saying yes to.
What would be different for you personally if you know that answer? If you only have if you take a scale from 0 to 10, and if you only had 10s in your life, what would be different than now?
More excitement, more passion for what I was doing, more time, because I would only be doing things that filled me up and that lit me up. And I would be able to just rightfully and honestly and knowingly say no to the things that don't. And more revenue, because I'd be saying yes to the best opportunities that would be generating that revenue. And honestly, just more impact, because those opportunities that I'd be saying yes to that are the right ones would be having bigger impact and bigger reach and bigger influence with the audience that I'm looking to serve.
That influence and that impact, if you would exponentially let it grow, what would be the difference that you're creating with that?
I'd be able to grow the amount of people that hear my voice, hear my message, hear the change that they can affect and make in their own lives, because I've been able to see it firsthand over the years, specifically a 45-person mastermind I just hosted down here in Puerto Rico. Every single person that came here, I've been chatting with them over the past few weeks since the event ended. And the impact and the change and the progress that they've made just from that one mastermind weekend was massive. So what if I could take that 45 people and turn it into 450 or 4,500 or 45,000 people, but on that same level that I was able to give to those 45 individuals?
What kind of impact is that from a personal point of view?
Allowing them to find their version of freedom.
What is your version of freedom?
Waking up in the morning and having my schedule with full of everything that I chose, things that I put on there, interviews with people like yourself and conversations with people like yourself and other individuals that I love talking to, all based on my ability to have the freedom to make those choices.
And where do you get the energy from?
My energy comes from circling back to that point of having conversations with people that have heard a podcast, that have taken one of my courses, that have been to one of my events, and are now honestly blown away with the quality of their life. The fact that they're waking up in the morning and no longer commuting to a soul-sucking job, really disinterested in their, how they're spending 90% of their waking hours, which is doing that work, not being a present husband, wife, father, mother, sibling, significant other. Everything changes when you start doing things that you want to do and you're excited by doing that. Everything changes. And that's what gives me the energy, is hearing people who have been able to make the same transformation that I made 7.5 years ago, because that was me 7.5 years ago. Yeah. And I can remember that person so clearly.
I'm just coming out of a coaching call with a coach of mine, Rich Litvin, and he said, keep in mind that the blank page or the white spots in your calendar, this is where the magic happens. Because he said, whenever you look at any professional sportsman whatsoever, to have or to expand their career, they need the downtimes so that they can refresh with their own ideas and with their own energy. Do you have that as well?
I would one up that, actually, because I think it's a mistake to look for that white time in your calendar. I think the right answer is schedule that time in your calendar. So it's not just, oh, I happen to have this white time in my calendar. No, it's every single day from 9 to 10:30. I am scheduling in yellow, in green, in blue. What's your favorite color? That should be the color that you have. So you look at it and you smile a little bit. And that time blocked off was intentional by you, and nothing can go in there, because I think a lot of people leave that white space to happenstance. And guess what? They find there is no white space. It never happens, because there's always something that you can fill in there. And I've been the same way. I mean, listen to this. It's such a reality. I'll have someone say, John, hey, can I interview you next week? And I'll look at my calendar and it'll be completely empty. And I'll say, you know what? I'll give this guy 2 p.m. on a Thursday. And so I'll give him that 2 p.m. on a Thursday. And then over the course of the rest of that week, I'll get emails being like, hey, can we connect on this? And I just keep putting people, I'm like, well, I'm already speaking to one person on Thursday. Now it's 2, 3, 4. Now before I know it, look at my Thursday, it's down and there's no white space and it's gone. And if I now have that block, which I do personally in my calendar intentionally, that can never be scheduled in, my team knows that, my virtual assistant knows that, I know that. Be intentional about it.
And the last time that magic happened to you, the last time that you were completely in sync with yourself and you knew it's right what you're doing. Can you picture that right now?
Every day. Every day.
And what do you feel? How do you know it's the right thing?
It's a feeling. You said the word. It's a gut feeling. It's an intuition. Because I know what it feels like to not be aligned, to not have the energy. I know that feeling well. I can go back there with my memories very quickly, very easily. And I know what it feels like, both sides of the fence. And for a long time now, I've been feeling the latter that you just mentioned. And guess what? I love that Steve Jobs quote, is that you need to wake up in the morning every single day, look in the mirror and say, am I enjoying what I'm doing? And if you say no too many days in a row, then it's time for a change. Because guess what? Not every day is going to be peaches and roses. You're going to have your ups and your downs and your lefts and your rights. It's going to happen. But if you're just present every single day and you realize that, hey, way more days than not, I can say, yes, I'm happy with what I'm doing and in the direction my life's going, then you're doing something right.
And well, when you look at your decisions as a hell no or a hell yes, then every once in a while there's some kind of a maybe that could be okay, could be not. Do you know how to eliminate them from your calendar?
No, and that's my biggest struggle. Going back to your question at the top of the interview, you asked me what my biggest struggle was, and that's it. I know the hell yeses. I say yes. I know the hell no's. But, there's not that many hell yeses. So there's still time and room and space for other opportunities that potentially should be hell yeses. I'm just not correctly identifying them.
And what would happen to you, your life, your business, your revenue, in order to create more 10s, you would drop all the 9s.
More happiness.
What would you need to drop the 9s?
2 years ago, I might have answered you more money, but that's no longer the answer because, frankly, I've hit my financial goals thanks to a move to Puerto Rico and a 4% tax bracket, thanks to the business continuing to generate significant revenue on a month-over-month basis at a super high net profit. So it's not that. I would say impact. Like, for instance, here's something that's truly honest, is I was watching Russell Brunson's Instagram story today. Russell Brunson, who's the founder of ClickFunnels, and he's at Funnel Hacking Live, and 3,500 people rushed into the audience to grab their front row seats, or as close to the front as they could get, while he was on stage welcoming them all. And I was like, man, that guy's going to make some massive impact today. I want more of that. Like, that's a direction I'd love to start going more with my hell yeses.
As time is running up, I want to leave you with a question. Like, who is it that you want to have been one day? Picture yourself 50, 60, 70 years in the future. I mean, with the two of us, we're going to live forever. But or maybe not, but one day we leave that planet and we leave it empty. We leave it empty pocket. We leave it naked. What is the kind of impact that you want to have on my life and on other lives? And looking back and saying, well, I did it.
That I showed people the path to their version of freedom, and I gave them the tools, tactics, and tips necessary to take that first step. I have no interest in taking people all the way. That's on them. But I want to give people that first step.
So as a suggestion, how does it feel? How does it sound and how does it feel to you if you consider asking you two questions for future decisions? One time, does it increase your freedom? And do you help somebody else's freedom to increase? Meaning the impact and or everything it takes. And if this is not both a hell yes, maybe it shouldn't be on your calendar.
That is great food for thought, brother.
Well, then I think I managed to be in time here.
You did. I'm impressed with everything, with your timeliness, with the depth of your questions. And I appreciate the time that I spent with you today.
Thank you, and keep it up, John.
Take care, brother.
And can I use everything or anything not?
Everything. Be good.
Thumbs up. Cheers.